Hello you lot, this is KeefCooks. I'm Keith, and it's Christmas! Yay! So, appropriately, I'm going to make a Christmas dinner with all the trimmings. I did a video of this about 5 years ago, and every Christmas since then it reappears in my in my stats. It becomes a video that people are looking at, which is great. Unfortunately, I had a look at it the other day and it's absolutely terrible quality, really embarrassing. So I'm going to retire that after I've made this one. And if you enjoy this video, give it a like, share, subscribe, etc. Anyway, the Christmas dinner. I call it Christmas dinner because I'm northern, but I think other people, even in the south where they would want, be inclined to call it Christmas lunch, might also call it Christmas dinner because that's what it's called. It doesn't matter what time of day you have it. I'm doing a ton of stuff, so much stuff in fact I had to write it down. So there's going to be turkey stock, there's going to be a turkey, there's going to be pigs in blankets, gravy, pork, sage and cranberry stuffing, cranberry sauce, roast potatoes, mashed potatoes, pan-fried sprouts with bacon, roast parsnips and honey-glazed carrots. So that should be enough, shouldn't it? Actually, a lot of people are terrified of doing the Christmas dinner because, well, two things. One, you only get one chance a year to practice it, and also it's possible or even likely that you will have hundreds of mouths to feed. You'll have invited the entire extended family and they'll turn up and they'll make your life hell. So you need to be organised, and actually with the Christmas dinner you can do a lot of the work the day before, because really you don't want to be in the kitchen panicking because you've run out of time and you haven't peeled the potatoes yet or anything like that. But the best tip I can give you is don't give yourself too much work. 3 vegetables is more than enough. 2 types of tatties is more than enough. Yorkshire puddings. I don't think Yorkshire puddings belong on a Christmas dinner. Any other kind of roast? Yes, by all means, especially a roast beef. But turkey, no. And the Christmas turkey, no. There's tons of stuff going on already. Make Yorkshires if you want, but I don't think you should. Alright, enough witching. Let's get on with it. Now for me, one of the most important things about a Christmas dinner is a really good gravy. And to do that, you need a really good stock. So obviously you can buy stock from the supermarket. You can buy pretty much everything that we're doing today, ready-made. But it's a lot more fun to slave over a hot stove for a couple of days and make your own, isn't it? So in an ideal world, I would have some turkey bones, but I don't yet because they're inside the turkey. But I do have the giblets, and I've got about 1 kilo of chicken wings, which I've chopped in half. I'm going to season those with salt and pepper. I'm going to put them in a hot oven for about half an hour, just to get some umami going. Umami! Okay, here's my little turkey. I know it's not much bigger than a chicken, but, well, there's only 2 of us, so anything bigger than that is just silly. I got this frozen from the supermarket. If you can get, a super happy free-range bird, go ahead. But I can't. Also, probably couldn't afford it if I could. Anyway, it's been defrosting for a couple of days, and now there's some bits and bobs that I want to... It was all trussed up through this hole in the skin. I'm going to get rid of that. It's going to go in the stock. That's the neck, I think. That can go in the stock as well. The parson's nose. I've never seen a parson with a nose like that. Then again, I'm not sure I've ever seen a parson. So, yeah, there's a little plastic bag up its bottom, which is possibly the liver, and that's the heart. We won't put those in the stock, we will put them in the stuffing. I'm going to take the wings off because on a little bird like this, they're not, No, I'll just chop it in half at the elbow. There's almost no meat on it, so that can go in the stock as well. Also for the stock, I've got some vegetables. I've got a couple of sticks of celery, which I will chop roughly. I would have preferred a big one, but this is what I got. Chop those roughly, chuck them in the pot, This is my pressure cooker because you know, I didn't do this yesterday. So I'm short on time. So in the pressure cooker it'll take half an hour. You could do it in a conventional saucepan and it'll need about 3 hours. Or you can do it overnight in a slow cooker and crock pot. So chop your onions, keep the skin on because that helps with the colour, make it a bit brownish. You could actually roast these in the oven as well if you wanted, but I'm not going to. Right, the chicken and turkey wings are a bit brown, so I'm going to pop them in there with the vegetables. Some parsley, some thyme, some black peppercorns, and some salt. Top it up with water and bring it to the boil, bring it to pressure and give it probably 20 minutes would be okay. That needs more water. Back in a bit. I'm going to make the stuffing for the turkey. I'm calling it stuffing, but I'm not going to put it in the bird. I never do, because it messes with your cooking times. This is pork, sage, onion and cranberry stuffing. So it's going to be magnificent and there'll be tons left and we'll consume it like meatloaf. It'll be great. So I've got 450 grams of minced pork, I've got 200 grams of breadcrumbs, I've got a large onion in instalments, I've got 100 grams of cranberries, I've got the heart and liver from the turkey, an ounce of butter, some salt, some sage, some black pepper. That'll do it. If you can hear hissing in the background, that's the pressure cooker making the stock. We need to peel and chop the onion. I'm going to boil these cranberries until they explode as well. That needs to be finely chopped. So we just heat some sunflower oil in a pan and then add the onions and just let them cook gently for about 5 minutes till they're soft but not browned. Cranberries have burst open, so I'm going to drain those and let them cool, and then I'll chop them into little bits. The stock's had its 20 minutes under pressure and it's depressurised now, so I'm going to strain it into a pot and then bring that to a rapid boil, and we want it to reduce by about half. When it's reduced, take it off the heat and strain it through a muslin cloth, and that'll get rid of all the bits of pepper and herbs and stuff. Strain that into a bowl, and when that's cooled down a bit, put it in the fridge or the freezer. There'll be a lot of fat in it and the fat will rise in the freezer and then you can skim it off. I forgot to mention, give the stock a taste, and if it needs more salt, add some, otherwise don't. That was absolutely fine. Alright, time to prep this turkey and get it in the oven. If you've got it from the supermarket, you will probably have instructions on how to cook it on the packet, and it's possibly going to be cook it for too long because they do err on the side of caution. So basically what you're aiming at is an internal temperature of 74 degrees Celsius. So I'm not going to give you cooking times like so many minutes per pound. You can look that up on the internet and it'll just give you a general idea of how long it's going to take according to what size of bird you've got. This will only take 2¼ hours, believe it or not. So what I'm doing is I'm working back from the time I want it to be on the table, then half an hour resting time, then the 2¼ hours back to, well, 5 minutes from now. So I said I wasn't going to stuff it, but I'm going to shove this onion up its jacksie. Just cut it in half so the flavour comes out. It's a well wonky turkey, this. I've got some butter. I'm just going to, well, shove it under the skin if you can. And you'll see people shoving herbs and all sorts under the skin, but I ain't got. But I'm not doing that. I've got the oven preheating to 160 degrees Celsius for a fan oven. Convection oven, that's 180 for a conventional one, and that is gas 4. Right, need to season the boyd, so some ground black pepper and some salt. Good, eh? Right, slam that in the oven for however long. Mine is 2¼ hours. And every half hour or so you want to get in there and baste the turkey with the pan juices. Okay, we've got a ton of prep to do, so I'm going to make pigs in blankets first of all. Not cook them, just prepare them. If you don't know what a pig in a blanket is, this is your pig. It's a pork chipolata, which is a small diameter sausage, and wrapped in a blanket of bacon. So this is streaky bacon, unsmoked. I'm just cutting them both in half. And take one pig and wrap it. And so, yeah, I'm making far too many for this meal, but they are splendid as a snack. Okay, in the fridge till we're ready for them. Right, I'm going to make the cranberry sauce because that needs to be cool by the time it gets served. So I've got 100 grams of sugar. I have 100 ml of water. I'll whack those on the stove and melt the sugar. And when that's melted, I'm going to add 150 grams of cranberries. And I'll cook those for about 10 minutes till they explode and turn to mush. We also want some orange zest. Actually, I haven't got any oranges, but this is a clementine. And it's orange, and it's orangey, so that'll be okay. So there we go. Just mashed it a bit with Tatey masher. You could use a stick blender, or you could not mash it, or you could, whatever you want. Depends how smooth you want it. I'm just going to whiz in a little bit of clementine juice and the zest. Now put that somewhere to cool down, and it might set into something like a jelly kind of consistency. I'm going to put the stuffing together, so I've got my breadcrumbs, my onions, and the pork and the offal, and the cranberries. And we just want to mix this all together. And at this point I really wish I'd remembered to get some more disposable gloves, because this is not nice. But anyway. Oh! What's the most important thing in sage and onion stuffing? Could be sage. I was trying to get some fresh sage leaves, but it is not the season. Just scrunch that all together till it's nice and mixed. I've got about a kilo of stuffing mix, which is far too much for today, or this week even, so I'm going to save half of that and I'll do it as like a meatloaf, which still leaves me enough to do 6 stuffing balls, and they're 85 grams each. Okay, we've got about half an hour left before the turkey comes out, so I better get on with the veg. So I'm going to do the potatoes, they just need peeling. This will be for the roasties and the mash. Okay, there's my spuds. I've got 625 grams there, peeled weight. More than enough for 2 people, actually. Well, I'm going to carefully cut them into chunks like that. Basically the size that I want my roast potatoes to be. But bear in mind, half of these will end up as mashed potato. So I've got a pan of salted water coming to the boil, and I'll put these in, and after about 10 minutes I'll take 8 pieces out, because they will then go on to be roast potatoes, and the rest of them will end up as mash. Well, here's the thing. I just tested the temperature, and that is 77, 78 in the breast there, in the leg 82, 83. That turkey is cooked. So it's actually 25 minutes sooner than I expected, but not to worry, we'll carry on and do all the other bits, and that'll be fine. Just tent it in foil so it doesn't lose too much heat. Right, got my stuffing balls. They need 40 minutes in the oven, so I'll whack them in now. We've got 50 minutes until finish time. Right, I've fished out my potatoes for roasting, and I'm just going to shuffle them in the colander to roughen up the edges a bit. Normally I would just have like a roasting tin with some fat in it, but because I've got half a dozen empty slots in this fairy cake tin, whatever, I put them in there. And I forgot to mention that the fat here is dripping, it's beef dripping. People like to use goose fat and duck fat for roast potatoes. So do I, but that'll do. That'll be nice as well. I just try and get them coated in the fat, and they go back in, and they'll take about the same time as the stuffing balls. Alright, parsnips. These need to be, well, cut into sort of batons, and what we need to do is parboil them for about 5 minutes, and we'll coat them in fat and we'll roast them in the oven for about half an hour. Right, we've got half an hour to go, so I've got my pigs in blankets. I've got a roasting dish with some melted dripping on it, and I've fished out my slightly overcooked parboiled parsnips. Right, so I'll slam those in, turn them over halfway through. Okay, honey-glazed carrots. So I was hoping to get, you know, those little regular baby carrots, but couldn't. So I've got these Chantenay carrots, which are a bit weird, stubby things. They'll do. So cutting the tops and the nasty bits off them. So I'll put these in a little saucepan, add enough water to cover them, bring it to boil and let it simmer until, and keep an eye on it because basically we want the water to disappear. Oh, alright then, add some honey if you must. Okay, we're nearly there, so got the sprouts to do. My least favourite vegetable on the planet, but Mrs. KeefCooks likes them, and I don't actually mind them when I do them this way. Normally sprouts are boiled for about 3 days and they're horrible, but this sautéing with bacon takes them to a whole new level. The ultimate sprouts. Get all the crummy outside leaves off and the root at the bottom, and then just chop it in half. So I've got some bacon. This is cooking bacon, unsmoked, and I've got about 3 little bits of rashers with some fat on. Keep the fat on, we want that. Now we need to mash the remaining potatoes, so I've drained them and let them dry somewhat, and we just pop them in my potato ricer. So we want some butter, more than that, half teaspoon of salt, half teaspoon of white pepper, and a sploosh of milk. I'm going to transfer this into a loaf tin and put it in the oven to keep it warm until we need it. Now the carrots, the liquid is almost gone. You want to really keep an eye on it now. And as soon as it's all gone, turn it off the heat. Now I'm going to make the gravy, so I've got a small saucepan, a lump of butter, and we melt that. Then we stir in the same amount of flour. And then some of the stock that we made earlier, which is now nice and wibbly wobbly. Bring it to the boil, simmer until it's kneaded. Last thing to do, yay, is cook the sprouts and the bacon. So take a cold frying pan, put the fatty bacon in, and then put it on gentle heat. And as it heats up, that fat should melt somewhat. And then you can chuck the sprouts in and cook them gently for 5-10 minutes till they cook through. Right, well, here is our wonky turkey, which is more rested than I expected because things went wrong with the camera, basically. And now it's Taste Test Time Christmas, yay! Woo, jingle bells, jingle your bells. Oh, look at those! Oh,
Like those.
little oh, penguins.
Oh, penguins, yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Tasteful, huh?
Christmas dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh. Vino.
Right.
It's been a long day.
I'm not surprised. When Keith said he was going to do a Christmas dinner for a video, Do you want to maybe do it over 2 days? You go, no, I'll do it in one.
Because I'm stupid.
I mean, it looks, oh, parsnips. I have not had parsnips in so long.
They're the best.
Anyway,
And sprogs.
Christmas greetings and your elf.
Yeah, goblin. Diddly-doo.
I like the way we start practicing Christmas at the end of November. In case you're interested, today is the 30th of November, 2021.
It won't be by the time it's Friday.
Parsnips. Tell you, I just love them. I really do.
Do you? Oh, can I have one? I just think, meh.
Oh no. And and they're lovely. Oh, glazed carrots. It's a taste test. I have to say everything as I eat it.
Overcooked pig in blanket. Okay. Oh, stuffing ball.
And cranberry sauce.
Oh yeah. Made of real cranberries.
Yeah, you actually made this, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
I've only ever had cranberry jelly from a jar, and then it's kind of a set thing. Rather than...
Well, that's
See, authentic Christmas dinner. Family meal. Not perfect, but very good.
Yes, that's a good point. Doesn't matter if it's not perfect.
Nope. It matters that it's made and it's in front of us. What's that? Is that mashed potato?
Yeah.
What have you done to it? It's got a
Mashed
little
it.
colour. So you haven't put nutmeg or something in it, have you?
No. Oh, it's alright.
Yeah, I think
It looks really dry, but it's not.
it's a funny thing about turkey, isn't it? You half expect it to be dry because of, when you eat out, pub lunches, but also school dinners, it would be dried out. So I think I have this experience every year. It's always, I bite into my first mouthful of turkey and think, oh, it's lovely and moist. Yeah, real thing. And one of the things I've really enjoyed about eating this year is that we've had more stuff from the garden, particularly fruit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we have some ace strawberries.
It's nice to see you at the end of a working day. But
So, Christmas dinner, don't be stressed, it's very easy.
I haven't even got to the roasties. I haven't even got to the gravy.
Thanks for watching, and Merry Flippin' Christmas!